moving forward, I do have another question. This one's from a patron as well. And I think I know that. Well, I don't know. I want to hear it come from a manager because I've never specifically asked. The podcast gives me the ability to kind of ask questions that maybe wouldn't be appropriate for me to ask as the photographer. But tell me about, this is from Mars. Shout out Mars. Tell me about the pay structure for a manager. What is it typically and how does it work?
It's time to get paid, baby.
Yeah. Got to pay some rent. Got to pay our rent.
Another thank you to the patrons that participate and ask such great questions. And thanks for asking the uncomfortable questions. That's how people learn.
Yeah.
But, there's just as many different pay structures as one can imagine because there are no, hard, fast rules. There's no
music industry.
There's no regulating body that's overlooking this. There's no negotiated, like with Spotify, for instance, there's a negotiated pay structure. And so you can't waver from that. Managers, you can do whatever the hell you want, really. Yeah. By and large, managers have always been paid on a commission basis, which is if the artist works and earns money, the manager is being compensated with some sort of percentage of that money, right? Now that can get broken down into so many different ways. Is it gross? Whereas if you go out and play a show and you get paid $1, do I take X percent of $1? Or do you go out and play a show for $1 and it costs you 50 cents to get there? Mm-hmm. And I commission on the net, which is $1 minus 50 cents is 50 cents, right? You can see how it's much more advantageous to me to commission off of the gross, but there are oftentimes, because my job is, it's very funny. My job is actually to try to make money for myself while the band is also making the maximum amount of money for themselves. Yeah. But if I'm paid out of their money, right, it can sometimes become a inverse relationship. The best managers that I know don't really think about the money coming into them. Let me clarify that. They don't prioritize the money coming into them prior to what is best for the artist.
Okay.
I have to worry about the money that's coming into me. Otherwise, I can't continue to do this and help the artist achieve the things that they're supposed to achieve. But there's all kinds of crazy things that happen. I mean, there's flat fees, so many people frown on those or have frowned on those. To me, the modern day music business, I think anything is up for negotiation. I think there's some things that continue to be in place and work because they kind of always have worked. If you think about it, if I'm paid on a commission, I'm supposed to work harder to get the numbers higher, right? Which is best for the client. So I can maximize the percentage, the percentage should stay the same. I'll maximize the amount that comes into me because, as you know, if the percentage is the same, the higher the number, the more money that's going to flow into me. But, long way of saying we get paid on a commission.
Yes. No, that makes sense. And I always wondered, if it was gross or net, and that makes sense that everything's negotiable. I feel like the music industry is really, you make it what you want. Like you just find what you like to do and how you like to do it. And if you can convince other people to do it with you and it's mutually beneficial, it sounds like you can usually make it work.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, the hardest part is when you're trying, I always like it, right? When it's my pizza analogy where, if you at the end of the tour, all that's left is one pizza and you're trying to feed 5 or 6 guys in a band and a manager and people are fighting over which slice is bigger, all of that. But when a band graduates and everybody's got their own pizza, things come easier. When everybody can add whatever toppings they want, things become easier. Once you get your own brick oven to bake the pizza, things become really easy, right? So most of the problems are created, sadly, where I've spent most of my time, which is towards the bottom. As things have grown, and it's not to say that problems don't exist there too. I know plenty of managers who, as the band gets bigger, right? And again, if you're paid on a percentage, as the band's number increases, the amount they're paying out to you increases. And so they come and say, well, last year you were doing this for, X amount. Why are we paying you 5X? It's essentially the same amount of work. And you're saying, well, dude, that's what we signed up for.
So that this year, the whole big picture is why I did it. Not because,
And, that's where things like contracts really help.
Yeah, I would say.
But I mean, for me, I came from a punk rock world. I started and I didn't need a contract because if I told you I was going to do something, I was going to do it. And if I told you I was going to work for you, I was going to work as hard as I could. And I was
Yeah.
going to, and it became challenging because I thought that, in this, I've learned this was my error. I thought that that was clear because I assumed you thought like I thought. Well, no, people think
Yes.
so many different ways.
Yeah.
So it became much more advantageous to all of us to clear things up. What's the nature of the working relationship? Are there ways to revisit it if there's problems? And let's put that in the desk and let's all move on towards hopefully shared success.
No, I love to hear it. And I can relate to what you're saying about maybe needing a contract sometimes.
But that's the beauty, right? With, because you've gone through that, whatever it looked like for you, you've learned how to navigate it, B, hopefully not repeat it, and C, pass that wisdom on to that next generation who is sitting there thinking maybe I don't need a contract.